Well, folks, day 2 of the Trump administration, part 2, is in the books. We'll get to everything going on in a moment. First, a reminder, America's golden age is just getting started. Be here with us for every moment. There has never been a better time to join Daily Wire Plus. Use code 47 right now for 47% off your new annual membership. Well, as you can tell, my voice has still not recovered from the party that is. But the left is still not recovered. The left has not regained its semblance of reality or normalcy. One of the reasons why there's a feeling of unity in the country overall is because the era of weird is over. The era of the normie is in. And you can sense it everywhere, from the kind of stylistic choices that were made at the inauguration to J.D. Vance and his wife, Usha, with their small children. The era of it's okay to be a normie, it's kind of good to be a normie, is back. But the problem is that the left cannot embrace this. The Democratic Party cannot embrace this. And that's worth exploring for a moment, because the most obvious thing about this current election cycle is that the Democratic Party blew it. They absolutely blew it on wokeness. Woke issues are an 80-20 issue in the country. Americans do not believe in discrimination on the basis of race. That is an 80-20 issue. They reject it. Americans do not believe that little boys are the same as little girls and that boys can be made into girls or vice versa. That's an 80-20 issue. These issues are losers for Democrats. And that does make you ask a question. Why don't the Democrats just separate off from it? Every time a Democrat tries to separate off from it, that person is immediately raked over the coals. Most obviously, this happened to Congressman Seth Moulton in Massachusetts, who made the signal error of suggesting that boys should not play in girls' sports and then was clubbed about the ears by his entire party. Why can't they separate off from this? If it's an 80-20 issue, why is it so core for them to continue embracing it? And the answer is that wokeness is now the core philosophy of the Democratic Party. It is the core philosophy of the left. It cannot be separated from. The reality is that in a country of immense prosperity and historic wealth, the typical left-wing case, the Marxist case, that there are sort of classes, and these classes are solid and impenetrable. That if you're born poor in America, you die poor in America. That if you're born rich, you die rich, and your kids die rich. That's not true. It's not been true in America ever. Ever. Alexis de Tocqueville talks about the income mobility, the wealth mobility of Americans in the 1840s. It is true today. One of the most amazing things about the people who are standing next to Donald Trump during his inauguration, those tech bros, they did not all grow up uber wealthy. The people who founded my company, I'll just speak about my company for a moment. The Daily Wire was founded by 3 people. The best you can say is that one of us grew up lower middle class, probably. Jeremy Boring, co-founder of the company, did not graduate from college. Caleb Robinson did not even go to college. I went to Harvard Law School, and I grew up in a 1,300 square foot house in Burbank, California, with 2 bedrooms, one for my parents and one for the kids, which meant 4 kids in 1 bedroom and 1 bathroom for all 6 of us until I was 11 years old. The amount of income and wealth mobility in the United States is astonishing. That is always why it has been a land of opportunity, which means that in America, the typical Marxist case for the flattening and destruction of the free market in the name of equality does not work and has never worked for long. Sometimes it's applied after an economic crisis when people are looking for some sort of answer, and that's when you get the FDR administration. That's when you get Obama. But it doesn't last for long because Americans are an aspirational people. We're a people who like innovation. We like adventure. We want the exploration. The typical left-wing economic Marxist case that everything is economically unfair does not tend to work in a system that has those levels of economic mobility. The aspiration that most Americans have for their lives do not match up with what the left believes, which is you freeze society in place and you redistribute all the winnings, and then everybody is equal in penury. That is not the aspiration of the American people. When I campaigned with a series of Senate candidates during the last election cycle, whether I was up in the tip of Ohio with a bunch of white folks in tip of Ohio, or whether I was down in the Rio Grande Valley campaigning with Senator Cruz with an entirely Hispanic population, everyone wanted the same thing: to be able to keep their wealth, to build wealth for the next generation, to raise their family, to go to church, and to strive so that their kids would have a better life than they did. That is why Marxism has never successfully been applied in the United States and will not win in the United States. And that's also the reason why, for the left, economic Marxism had to be recast as something else. It had to be recast as race Marxism or sex Marxism, which is wokeism. So now the idea becomes that you have to completely restructure the system, destroy capitalism. Why? Because people are innately not different. See, the thing about capitalism is that it's a meritocracy. And the beauty of capitalism is that you don't have to be at the top level of any particular thing in order to succeed in the United States. This is the theory of comparative advantage. Right? I might be really good at talking and writing, but I'm not so good at plumbing. That person can be highly successful, like make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year starting a plumbing company. Right? That's one of the beauties of capitalism. But what the left says instead is that all people are innately exactly the same. Not equal before God, innately the same. Men and women are arbitrary categories. Group differentiation, all arbitrary. And what that means is that any inequity, any inequality between those groups must be a reflection of unfairness. And that's what wokeness is. Wokeness is the argument that all disparities are discrimination. And in order for that argument to make any sense, that means that all people must be exactly the same. So the argument to destroy capitalism has to be made on the basis that we are all basically undifferentiated widgets. This is why the left can't let go of those arguments. They can't. The minute they give up that argument, they're relegated to arguing economic Marxism again. And economic Marxism in the United States tends to lose. Bernie Sanders is popular with a relatively small cadre of the American people. His candidacy would have been a disaster for Democrats. And so they've had to move into sort of weird combo of economic Marxism, economic progressivism, Elizabeth Warren town, and race Marxism, sex Marxism, wokeness. Why do I bring this up? Well, because one thing that's been evident in the aftermath of President Trump's re-swearing in is that the left will never give this up. That made itself absolutely apparent yesterday. So the National Prayer Service was held yesterday at the Washington National Cathedral. It's an invite-only event, but it's pretty big. It's like 4,000 people show up. President Trump went along with Melania, as well as the entire Trump family. So too did Vice President Vance and his family as well. And in the middle of the service, which is sort of interfaith service, kind of, it has a variety of people who get up and speak. One of the people who was preaching, and I say preaching kind of in scare quotes, is a person named Marianne Budde. Marianne Budde is an Episcopal bishop, a female Episcopal bishop. So you can imagine she's not going to be exactly a traditionalist. And she gets up in front of President Trump and Vice President Vance, and she proceeds to spew a diatribe of woke mind nonsense that has nothing whatsoever to do with the Bible, Christianity, traditionalism, anything. 50 years ago, you would be much more likely to hear this in a Communist Party hall than in a church. One of the terrible things about the decline of religion in America is that you now hear this kind of trash in churches. So this resistance pastor gets up and is going to make herself famous by ripping into Donald Trump and J.D. Vance the day after the inauguration. And she's going to do so by spewing absolute nonsense wokeness about both trans kids who don't exist. Okay, when I say they don't exist, I mean that there may be kids with gender dysphoria, but the notion that a child knows that their body is not in line with their sex is ridiculous on its face. She spews nonsense about trans children and about illegal immigrants and suggests that if President Trump wishes to emulate the values of Jesus, then he must abandon his entire political agenda. I noticed that Jesus was not in favor of free migration across all borders. You're going to have to show me where in the Bible he was in favor of that. And I certainly know that Jesus was not in favor of the idea that boys and girls are the same and are interchangeable and boys can become girls. But of course, it has nothing to do with religion. It is what the left has done with nearly every institution. They've hollowed out the institution. They hollowed out the church and they stuck in a bunch of left-wing woke garbage. Here we go.
I ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now. There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in Democratic, Republican, and independent families, some who fear for their lives. And the people who pick our crops and clean our office buildings, who labor in poultry farms and meatpacking plants, who wash the dishes after we eat in restaurants and work the night shifts in hospitals, they They may not be citizens or have the proper documentation, but the vast majority of immigrants are not criminals. They pay taxes and are good neighbors. They are faithful members of our churches and mosques, synagogues, wadara, and temples. I ask you to have mercy, Mr. President, on those in our communities whose children fear that their parents will be taken away, and that you help those who are fleeing war zones and persecution in their own lands to find compassion and welcome here. Our God teaches us that we are to be merciful to the stranger, for we were all once strangers in this land.
This is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Okay, the notion that you are now citing the biblical injunction to be kind to the stranger to suggest that you cannot have a border as a country is asinine. The suggestion that the Bible mandates that President Trump allow the mutilation, the hormonal sterilization of small children on the basis that they think they might be a member of the opposite sex is perverse. And this is a broader issue because, of course, this happened. Of course, this did. First of all, shame on whomever did not vet this particular person speaking at the interfaith service of prayer for the nation on Tuesday. Shame on them. This was all out there. Well, it must have been pretty frustrating for President Trump and J.D. Vance to have to sit there for that nonsense. But you know what else is frustrating? Spending hours searching for the best car insurance rates. Some people spend entire weekends comparing quotes only to end up more confused than when they started. That's why I want to tell you about Insurify, the insurance comparison site that revolutionized how we shop for coverage. They have dozens of top insurers competing for your business. That means better rates for you. The best part, everything happens online. No phone calls, no fees, absolutely no spam. In just 10 minutes, you can secure coverage from trusted insurance providers across America. Your privacy matters at Insurify. They're not going to sell your information. With their decade of experience and excellent Trustpilot rating, you know you're in good hands. Get to Insurify.com, compare car insurance quotes in real time, start saving today. That's Insurify.com, Insurify.com. Average potential savings based on initial quotes received by 183,234 customers seeking insurance through Insurify. Actual savings may vary depending on state of residence, individual circumstances, coverage selections, and insurance provider. Savings results are not guaranteed. Go check them out again right now at Insurify.com. That's Insurify.com. Also, New Year's resolutions, they always come with some pressure. Whether you're hitting the gym, learning a new skill, getting your finances in order, it can all feel pretty overwhelming. One resolution that often gets pushed aside is creating a will or a trust. We all know it's important, but it feels pretty daunting, and that's where our friends at Trust and Will come in. I've checked out their process. It is incredibly straightforward. You can literally create your estate plan while you relax on your couch. Their platform is designed by attorneys, but it's customizable by you, making it both reliable and personal. What really impressed me was how they guide you through everything step by step. Every will or trust is state-specific, legally valid, covering everything from care wishes to guardian nominations. Plus, all your documents are stored securely with bank-level encryption, giving your family easy access when they need it most. The best part, you're not alone in the process. They offer live customer support through phone, chat, and email. They've helped hundreds of thousands of families already. Their excellent rating and thousands of 5-star reviews on Trustpilot speak for themselves. Check one of your goals off early this year with Trust and Will. Protect what matters most in minutes at trustandwill.com/Shapiro. Get 10% off plus free shipping. That's 10% off and free shipping at trustandwill.com/Shapiro. Here's that same resistance pastor saying just a couple of years ago that everything about President Trump was antithetical to the teaching of Jesus. This is on CBS this morning.
First of all, the context which your reporting described, that after speaking so harshly and with militaristic overtones to the nation, he had the park of peaceful protesters cleared with tear gas and officers in riot gear to make a symbolic gesture, holding a Bible, as if to spiritually condone a message and a posture that is antithetical to the teachings of Jesus and everything that we as a church stand for.
It's insulting and ridiculous and divisive and silly. It's also bound to lose because the American people don't believe this, let alone anybody who takes the church seriously, who takes the Bible seriously. Whether you're Jewish or whether you're Christian, you don't take this particular perspective seriously if you happen to be a person who believes in biblical values. But the left can't let it go. They can't let it go. This was ugly because, again, an interfaith prayer ceremony for the sitting president of the United States should be a pretty nonpartisan affair. And this person turned it into a deeply partisan affair, which you knew she would. Again, shame on whoever vetted this person. But this is part and parcel of a broader unwillingness to let go of the fact that the left's attachment to woke never dies. The other symptom of this was the most idiotic controversy of the last 48 hours. And there have already been a bunch of idiotic controversies. And that was Elon Musk supposedly being a Nazi. So the press and the left have seamlessly shifted from Donald Trump is a Nazi to Elon Musk is a Nazi. They can't say that Trump is a Nazi anymore because he just won. So instead, they've decided to find the other most prominent person in the administration, Elon Musk, the richest person on earth, and to call him a Nazi. This all began on Inauguration Day. So Elon Musk was obviously extremely excited about the election. He spoke at the presidential parade. He was bouncing around the stage. Here he was speaking.
Can you imagine how awesome it will be to have American astronauts plant the flag on another planet for the first time? Bam! Bam! Yeah! How inspiring would that be? You know, there's always problems in life. You know, there's this problem, solve that problem. But you know, there need to be things that inspire you. There need to be things that make you glad to wake up in the morning and say, I'm looking forward to the future.
All of that is right. That's Elon's vision. And you can see he was very pumped up. And over the course of the day, he got more pumped up. Here was Elon getting extremely hyped over the course of Inauguration Day.
Yes! This is what victory feels like. Yeah! And this was no ordinary victory. This was a fork in the road of human civilization. Okay. You know, there are elections that come and go. Some elections are, you know, important, some are not. But this one this one really mattered. And I just want to say thank you for making it happen. Thank you.
Okay, so Elon is really hyped up. Now, here's the thing about Elon. When he's hyped up, he jumps around. He makes very large motions. Okay, well, one of these motions would become the motion that launched 1,000 idiotic tweets, 1 million idiotic tweets. So Elon got very excited, and he said that his heart goes out. He was talking about various people. He said his heart goes out to them. Here's the clip, and then I'll explain what the left thought of this clip.
And I just want to say thank you for making it happen. Thank you. My heart goes out to you.
Okay, so he says, my heart goes out to you. And he makes a motion where he reaches over to his chest, his heart, right, out to you, and he throws it. But it's an awkward motion. It's stiff-armed. So naturally, the left decides that Elon has become a brown shirt. That's clearly what happened. He covertly became a brown shirt. Sometime over the course of the last 72 hours, Elon Musk morphed into an actual honest-to-God Hitler-loving Nazi, making not particularly covert signs on. Now, listen, I've been through this rodeo before. I'm old enough to remember when Laura Ingraham was accused of this for speaking at the 2016 Republican National Convention while basically waving to the crowd. Okay, but Elon is now going to get it. So here was CNN. Again, they can't let go of it. They can't. They can't let go of the idea that their enemies are evil, that their opponents are evil. They're not just wrong, they're evil. And certainly they're not wrong because they are righteous. They are righteous in their wokeness. And so another episode of Everyone I Don't Like Is Hitler, Elon, is the latest episode of Everyone I Don't Like Is Hitler, according to CNN.
I just want to look at that salute that he gave again, just if anybody missed it, we'll just show it again. He's just wrapped up here. You can hear there. All right, so we just showed that. We just showed that.
Right. It's worth
Salute.
It was quick. I think our viewers are smart and they can take a look at that, but it certainly was. It's not something that you typically see at American political rallies. put it that way.
No, it was not something that you usually would see. And it was quick, as you point out. It was very quick, but it was in a moment of intensity for him as he came out dancing, and then he did that.
Just ridiculous. Absolutely. And this became the order of the day in the media. Rachel Maddow came out and blasted Elon for the supposed fascist salute.
In case you haven't seen this yet, this today was Elon Musk, richest man in the world, biggest political donor in the history of our country. This is him today twice throwing something that looks like what is politely called the Roman salute at the hockey arena in Washington before Trump's appearance there tonight. And maybe this is not what he meant when he did it. Who among us knows what is in the hearts of men? Mr. Musk has not yet commented on what he was doing here. But the Roman salute is a thing. And that is what it looks like Elon Musk was doing, which added a nice blood-curdling chill to the day for many people today.
Blood-curdling. Just blood-curdling. I know that awkward hand motions from Elon, who is famous for jumping up and down with his hands in the air, absolutely blood-curdling. You know, not blood-curdling to these people is shooting a 7-year-old child full of hormones so that he never goes through puberty before cutting off his genitals. That's not horrifying. That's humane in the name of Jesus. But Elon Musk giving an awkward hand salute when he says, "My heart goes out to people," okay? That obviously is just chilling. Now, I gotta say, you know, I have a pretty high radar for Nazism. I like a bit of a stake in this particular game. Like I feel like I can spot some Nazis when I see them. My Nazi radar does not go off around Elon Musk. You know why my Nazi radar doesn't go off around Elon Musk? Because he's not a damned Nazi. In fact, Elon and I, 1 year ago this week, were in Auschwitz together, visiting Auschwitz together. We did an event where he spoke about anti-Semitism and how evil it is and the evils of Hitlerianism. Like, what is wrong with you people? And the answer, of course, is they know better. Of course they know better. Of course they know better. No one honestly believes that Elon Musk was giving a Nazi salute, but they have to characterize their opponents as Nazis. It's the only way. It's the only way. This, by the way, has been the tactic of the entire post-World War II left. Anybody who is not a communist is a Nazi. That is the way this entire political game is run. And here is Jon Stewart doing this routine. What's amazing is hearing people like Jon Stewart supposedly speaking truth to power, by which we mean just parroting whatever the left-wing talking point of the day is.
Okay. Charitably, I'm going to say that was just an awkward, my heart goes out to you gesture. Many of you might have done it like this. You know, even Taylor Swift has done that, you know, my heart, but she almost never does the goes out to you. Like, just always stays with, but, you know, listen, it's nerve-wracking day. You're not normally a public speaker. It's a one-off gesture. Please try not to use it again. Make sure the people in the back see it, I guess. I'm just going to be generous and say maybe that was Elon's attempt at dabbing on the haters. I don't.
Just absolutely ridiculous. These people are absolutely ridiculous.